Hello and welcome to ANC Decides, the show that gives you up-to-the-minute reports, commentary and analysis building up to the ANC's December elective conference. I'm your host, Mpumalanga. Let's take a look at what's making headlines. ANC Treasurer General Zweli Mkhize warns that the ANC might lose the 2019 elections. Mkhize says the ANC must unite in order to have voters' confidence. Dispute over Eastern Cape Provincial Executive Committee continues. Wede Mantashe's affidavit claims applicants want to withdraw litigation, but lawyers disagree. And the ANC extends deadline for branch general meetings to November the 25th. The extension will allow branches to make nominations in time for the national conference. Now leading our bulletin today, ANC presidential candidate Zweli Mkhize has reiterated his call for unity in the organization. Mkhize says if the party fails to unite, it might lose the 2019 elections. The 2017 succession battle has seen divisions in the ANC widen more than ever. Some leaders have suggested it's better for the party to split than forge a false unity. Others advocate for the party to find common ground and move forward as a unit. However, the compromise presents a challenge of leaders with diverse ideologies pulling in different directions. The elephant in the room is whether the ANC can afford to go through a split like it did in Polokwane, given its diminishing electoral fortunes.
So as we go to this conference, we must deepen unity. We have said to comrade, these factions need to be dismantled. We were part of going to Polokwane. Those days when we were going to Polokwane, I tell comrades that we were very angry. We were so angry that we came to a point where we didn't realize that in our anger we're destroying the organization. But we cannot repeat that problem again. The ANC must be saved from destruction by factions.
2017, the elections, which will be in about 3 months plus, should not divide us. Contestation is democracy. How can democracy divide the organization? Our organization is built on democracy.
We will cleanse the African National Congress of all factionalist tendencies. We will cleanse the African National Congress of all forms of divisions. We will cleanse the African National Congress of all forms of corruption. Uyabona manje comrades, uma siya kule conference eka December, siyothatha izinqumo ukuthi no more factionalism in the ANC.
Now today on the show, we're joined by political analyst Botsang Moelwa, Professor Andre Duvenage via Skype, and MK-MVA spokesperson Carl Niehaus. Panel, welcome to all of you.
Thank you.
Now, perhaps to start with you, Professor Duvenage. Now, the ANC is beset with problems of slate politics. Some, like the likes of Zweli Mkhize, are taking, or at least talking, unity within the ANC. But the question is, can they really be united at a time when it doesn't seem there's much tolerance for dissenting voices within the movement who can frankly tell them what is wrong with the ANC?
Well, Mafondo, I have no doubt that the ANC is facing a lot of internal challenges on an ideological as well as on a leadership level. And currently, I cannot see that the ANC will unite very easily. My take on the ANC is that they develop a tradition of conflict, a tradition where people are defining themselves in opposing camps. And as a result of that, it is difficult to get a unity going. At this point in time, it is strategically very negative for the ANC. They are entering a conference in which they are deeply divided, and we know if they are not a united front coming out of the conference, it is clear that they are going to face major challenges when it comes to the 2019 election. My own take on the situation is that if there is going to be further divisions with
we seem to have lost
that
Professor.
The organization is not going to get a 50% during the 2019 election.
Now, Carl, your take, you're within the ANC, you're part of a structure that is part of the ANC. I cannot imagine a scenario where Cyril Ramaphosa wins and Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma's camp stays, and vice versa. I cannot imagine Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma win with Cyril Ramaphosa's faction staying within the fold.
Well, I can absolutely imagine that scenario, because ultimately we must put the African National Congress first. And Comrade Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma had said very clearly that she will accept the outcome of the National Elective Conference, whether she wins or loses. And she said if she loses, she will follow the leader. But the call is, of course, in the same breath, that if she wins, that the losers must follow her. Ultimately, we must put the African National Congress first. And you know why we must do that? Not just because the ANC is so special, but because the ANC is the leader of society, and the ANC encapsulates the hopes of our people. The important thing for us is to put the people of South Africa first. And whatever happens at that conference must, at the end of it, come up with policies, come up with a leadership structure that will serve the people of South Africa best and address the issues, the very serious issues that we faced with in terms of poverty, in terms of education, in terms of land restitution, all the issues that are encapsulated in the policy of radical economic transformation.
Perhaps before we come to you, Botsang, let's just engage our reporter, Lemogang Foke, who's out in Kangala in Mpumalanga, where there's been talk of unity as well. Lemogang, a warm welcome to you. What is the talk there in Mpumalanga? We know for the longest time the chairperson there, Mr. David Mabuza, has been preaching unity. But what is the sentiment on the ground around this directive of unity?
Good afternoon to you, Mfundo, and thank you very much. Indeed, you know, when you are in Mpumalanga, unity is not something that you can miss, given that it is something that is being preached and something that is also coming out of the branches. But I think most importantly is to define this unity. You know, we have people saying that perhaps a way that, you know, the organization can sort of unify itself is to have the front runners have a combination of Slate and possibly working out a way in which they could accommodate one another coming out of that December elective conference in terms of how best they can work together moving forward. We've also heard of people saying that they go with a particular slate, for instance, Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma, and also with that slate, we do know that the chairperson of the province, Didi Mabuza, has also been said to be on that slate as deputy president. And most people see that as see David Mabuza as a unifier in this province, seeing that he is, has been vocal about unity itself. But I just want to engage the Youth League, which we know has also announced their support and their backing for Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma. I have with me from Kangala region the chairperson, Swati Nkosi, just to engage a bit more on this topic. Nkosi, it seems that unity is taking quite a number of versions when it comes to this province. But just talk to us about the Youth League in this province. What does unity mean to you?
As the ANC Youth League in Kangala, unity does not have versions, does not have color, or is not attached to a person or an individual. We are just so proud to have been led by Comrade David Dabete Mabuza as the provincial chairperson of the ANC. As you know, that ANC Mpumalanga was having a lot of things, but look now, we are a united bloc. Even if you can look at our local government elections 2016, you can see that the ANC in Mpumalanga, from branch members until the PEC, they were united. That's why you won't find any other political party, but the unity of the ANC made sure that all wards we are retained and all wards are by the ANC. All other political parties that were trying, you won't find them having ward councillors. I'm mentioning some of those who opened their political parties because of anger, and because of the ANC in Mpumalanga is united and the provincial chairperson is preaching unity, and we are supporting the call made by the provincial chairperson. He's not Mr. Unity, but he is preaching that gospel like a pastor who's always on a Sunday preaching about the Bible. Unity is something that must be preached by each and every one of us in the ANC. And from where I'm seated, either you call him Mr. Unity or whatsoever, as the ANC ANC Youth League, the center is holding democratic centralism, is saying that the decision of the upper structure binds all lower structures. We will continue to mobilize, engage, and lobby delegates to make sure that they elect Comrade Didi Mabuza to be the deputy president of the ANC come 16 to 20 December in Nasrec. We'll make sure that Comrade Didi Mabuza and part of those announced by the ANC Youth League National, which include Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, Ace Mahashule, Natim Tetwa, Jesse Duarte, Maite Kwane Mashaban, form part of uniting and preaching the gospel of unity. If you say unity is Didi Mabuza, why can't you say that Bible is it's a pastor? Because every Sunday, pastors are going to church and preaching about Bible. So unity, it's a basic rock upon which the ANC was founded. Unity, it's a core value of the ANC. It's not a commodity. You won't find unity. You can't buy unity. You can buy delegates if delegates are a commodity that can be bought. But in Mpumalanga, we are blessed. And whatever that we do it with pride. We do it with passion as long as it has got the ANC. Remember, 2017, it's a centenary or it's a year of OR Tambo where the theme or the slogan say unity in action. That's why we are practicing that. So a person who can unite the ANC has got a lot of, we have got a number of leadership who have got capacity to be part of the officials of the ANC. And to unite the ANC, we need also to infuse young blood in that National Executive Committee. 40% or 50% must be young people who must go and advance interests of the young people of South Africa, not people who will just sleep in parliament, people who will just sleep in NEC meeting. We want people who will contribute to make sure that we are united behind the policy position and the resolution of the ANC 2007, Pulukwan, the ANC resolution of 2012, Mangaung, of saying radical economic inclusive transformation in South Africa.
Unfortunately, we're going to have to leave it there. And thank you very much for your time. That was Mswati Nkosi, the regional chairperson of the Youth League here in Kangala. Mfundo, back to you.
No, thank you very much, Lemogang. That's our reporter, Lemogang Foke, out there in Mpumalanga with one of the Youth League representatives in the province. But Sang, your take, I've never been more confused. At first, he started off by saying unity has no color, it has no identity. And then beyond that, I heard him talk of unity, meaning they need to have the chairperson, Didi Mabuza, as the deputy president. And then beyond that, he went on to mention the NDZ slate. So is unity the NDZ slate, or what does he say?
Well, Mfundo, what he started by saying is to define and try to define what unity is and how it should be looked at. But remember that in him talking, he was also explaining that the Mpumalanga province is seeing Didi Mabuza as a unifier. So that's why he is saying, this is the person who has brought up this unity thing, and we are following him. They never pronounced on anything, if you recall, on any slate, until the deputy president of the ANC pronounced their slate. And at the moment, the group or the supporters of Dr. Nkosazana Zuma have come up with a slate. But Dr. Zuma herself, she has never said anything about slates, which I think is to advantage. But, you know, I've said it before that any candidate of the ANC who will win Mpumalanga as the second largest province, the one of the most stable and the biggest, stands a good chance of going through with the winning of the elections.
But we cannot say we haven't heard what he just said. He mentioned everybody that is on that slate, whether we'd like to call it a slate or the team, the winning team, let's say, to be on the safe side. But he's gone on to mention all these people. So is that not him perhaps letting the cat out of the bag?
No, but it is one of the supporters, one of those who want to see this happen. It's not Didi Mabuza, it's not Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, who are the front runners in this instance. But also, we cannot put a blind eye on slates. We cannot. It has happened. It has been the culture in the ANC. Yes, it has destroyed the ANC to some extent, but what is positive is I've listened to at least 4 leaders now. It started by Didi Mabuza talking about let's speak unity, let's speak the organization, let's put the organization up front. It came with Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma. I've heard the deputy president also mentioning it. Now today we have heard Dr. Zweli Mkhize himself talking about let's focus on rebuilding the ANC. Let's focus on unifying the ANC. The ANC cannot, Mfundo, afford at the moment to have any split or to have any people after December who are saying, we are going to sit on our laurels, we don't want to be active in the organization anymore. They cannot afford that. Whoever is going to win come December 20th of December 2017, it should be somebody that will be able to bring back all the forces of the ANC, including the so-called disgruntled and disillusioned members. Who will,
on those
who
disgruntled and
ANC
disillusioned members, we'll come back to that one. It's an important one to touch on about the unity or disunity. But let's quickly just go to KZN. Now, the court challenge to the legitimacy, rather the Eastern Cape. The court challenge to the legitimacy of the Eastern Cape PC has been delayed by discrepancies regarding the applicants notifying Secretary General Gwedemantashe of an intention to withdraw litigation. Nomusa Pungula filed this report for us.
The Grahamstown High Court postponed the hearing, citing that the applicants had allegedly written a letter to the ANC withdrawing the case. However, the applicant's attorney disputes the existence of such a letter, saying they'll continue with the matter.
We have not given them any letter at this stage, and in fact, we will take instructions about whether or not there was some form of withdrawal at this stage. We are going to investigate the matter. We get these papers today whilst we are in court.
Meanwhile, the chairperson of the ANC Eastern Cape Provincial Executive Committee insists that there is an element of double play as the ANC Appeals Committee is attending to the matter, citing that the court case is unfortunate and should be left to the ANC to deal with.
There is an element of injustice on it, the issue of matters that are sub judice, not being really considered. But the ANC had to do its own internal process for it to build its organization and reach out to its members who have actually disputed the conference. But at the same time, we're in the court of law, same issues. It's a quite phenomenal phenomenon, as I've just explained, very unfortunate, but we welcome the judgment here. We think that's going to give us an opportunity to continue with our internal process, hoping that by the time that the date that has been set aside here come, we would have actually exhausted or we have actually folded our internal processes to its logical conclusion.
While the Grahamstown High Court has postponed the hearing of the matter between Nomawethu Mgabadeli and others versus the African National Congress and others to the 4th of December 2017, the ANC internal appeal process is continuing at the provincial office of the Eastern Cape, which is Galata House. Nomusa Pungula for ANN7, Grahamstown, Eastern Cape.
We now cross over to our reporter, Nomusa Pungula. Nomusa, a warm welcome to you. Now, what exactly is happening in the Eastern Cape? Because we understand today there was an affidavit supposedly from the Secretary General Gwedemantashe that was being circulated, where he says they had in fact withdrawn this court application. How true is that?
Good evening, Fundo, and good evening to our viewers. Indeed, Fundo, there was an affidavit, which was a replying affidavit from the Secretary General of the African National Congress, saying that he had received, as well as the DSG also received a letter or documents, as he says it's in the affidavit, that they received those documents on behalf of the applicants, which is the 11 ANC members, who are saying that they are going to withdraw the court case just to make sure or allow the ANC processes to unfold. But they also mentioned that they have taken a conscious decision as a collective, because now they understand that the ANC is taking notice of their grievances, and also it's not that they did not have faith in the ANC processes, but rather they had lacked faith faith in the SG of the African National Congress, citing that he has not given them the attention that they need, and he has ill-treated them every time they have an appeal to make within the African National Congress. But also importantly, Mfundo, within the affidavit filed by the SG of the ANC, he also cites that a day after he had received those documents from the 11, he also received another document from their attorney, which confirmed the fact that indeed they are withdrawing the court case just so that the internal processes are unfolding in the ANC. He also mentions that he did make sure that he makes sure that the court knows that the ANC is attending to the matter, because when they received the appeal, he made sure that the NEC meeting that was sitting on the 11th to the 13th of November attended to the matter, which they did, and they appointed an appeals committee which is led by Sibusiso Ndebele, which is currently in the Eastern Cape attending to the matter, Mfundo.
No, some interesting developments there. Thank you very much, Nomusa. Professor Duvenage, your take on this matter, any prospects of success? I mean, I read through that court application, and they're also insisting on the urgency of this matter. Is it that urgent?
Well, I think it is urgent with regard to the upcoming national conference, but my assessment of the case is that it is not highly likely to be successful, either in principle or in time. So I'm not thinking that a court case is going to have any impact at the moment on the structures within the Eastern Cape, and secondly, on the outcome of the conference towards the middle of December.
Through the flaws, or at least what you believe are the shortcomings in terms of principle, when you say you don't see them succeeding in terms of principle, what exactly do you mean?
Well, my take on it is that there was a lot of violence. My understanding was that the process was a relative sound process, and in that sense, it is going to be extremely difficult to motivate the opposite.
Carl, your take on the Eastern Cape and the litigation?
Well, I think the litigation process has to go its route. It is important that we clarify what happened at that conference. There were some very, very unfortunate incidents, and there are comrades who are deeply unhappy. So this issue has to be resolved. It cannot just be swept under the carpet. It is important for us to restate the position that we stated all the time. Violence and attempts to disrupt conferences in order to serve a particular candidate is entirely unacceptable. I want to quote what Dr. Dlamini Zuma said at the particular time when this happened at the conference. She said, "Not in my name." This cannot be allowed to happen in anyone's name in the African National Congress who truly cares for the ANC. And it comes back to the unity issue. Because how we conduct ourselves at the various different conferences of the ANC that had happened now in the run-up to the National Elective Conference was very, very important. And it is especially going to be important how we conduct ourselves in the National Elective Conference, that we allow the branches to have the final say. I want to come to the point that you discussed earlier, and that was the issue of a slate as compared to the varying lobbying lists that are around. The comrade that we had with us this afternoon from Mpumalanga was specifically talking about a lobbying list. That lobbying list included Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma's name and many other people's names. But it was not a formal slate announced by the leader of a particular group who stands as a candidate for the presidency. That is a very, very important distinction. Okay. Because ultimately, we do not want a presidential candidate who is standing for the presidency of the ANC dictating to the branches. The branches has to decide. And I bring it back to the issue of the conference. In a conference that is peaceful, where we respect democracy.
Botang, your take here. They keep stressing unity, but it doesn't seem there's an appetite within the ANC to really tackle the issue of what exactly divides them. A number of them today, if they're calling for President Jacob Zuma to resign, some are saying, the likes of Obrimashiko actually puts it so eloquently, where he says that today these people are positioning themselves in contradistinction to what they consider the Zuma moment, whereas they were part of leadership.
That has always been my challenge, and take with members of the ANC, especially from leadership positions, who define themselves outside the organization. You cannot, having been a member of the National Executive Committee, like Kalia, for example, you stand up today because you are not on the side, or you don't think President Zuma, who is the president of the ANC, did not deliver as expected, and you start pointing fingers as the ANC of Zuma, while you still carry the membership card, while you still serve in the National Executive Committee, you are part of the decision-making process. How do you define yourself when wrong decisions are made collectively? Then you start saying, but these are the decisions of this faction. And those are the people who are creating division and sowing them right up to the grassroots level. If there was really seriousness about this unity, we wouldn't have people like in the Eastern Cape. Everybody has a democratic right to can go to a court of law and seek justice if they think there's an unjust process. But there is a National Executive Committee. There are employees there to go and try and resolve the situation there. They're still disregarding efforts of the NEC and still running to court. And with this limited space of time, I've heard that the decision is that the court will resume on the 4th of December. That will be very late to can relook at these challenges. That will be late to can resolve the problems that they want to resolve. Instead of listening to the NEC to guide them, now they are saying they don't trust the Secretary General. I think there's bigger problems than this. But again, it will have to take a great leader after December to unify the structures of the ANC.
Professor Duvanaga, your take here. I mean, the likes of Secretary General Gwetema Ntashe spoke about the man that O.R. Tambo was, that he was a person that had no problem or could withstand criticism. But it seems the ANC of today cannot per se withstand criticism, because we saw what happened to the stalwarts, the consultative conference. Many of the ANC were not in attendance, and they said that none of those resolutions will be debated or perhaps adopted.
Yes, I think if you look at the profile of O.R. Tambo, he was a unifier. He had the ability to bring people, different groupings together and unite them. And unfortunately, at the moment, I am not seeing people in the ANC who can unite the ANC. It's easy to talk about unification if you refer to only one group. But what about the other group? You need to bring together the Cyril Ramaphosa's, the Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma's, the Gwetema Ntashe, the David Mabuza's, all of them, and then you can talk about unification. And that it doesn't help if you only talk about unification, but you are promoting the interest of only one group.
No, an interesting take. We'll have to have another day actually to discuss. Oh, can't we run out of time, unfortunately?
I have to say that
question.
the one leader who can do this is Comrade Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma.
You had to sneak that one in. We have to go to the poll question.
Unity in the ANC.
Well, today's poll question is, can dialogue with business bring radical economic transformation? Answer yes or no. Do send us your responses to all our platforms that appear on your screens this minute. And that's where we end our show today. Until next time.